Howdy everyone out there in Twitch land. Welcome back to HexHunter. We are bringing you another episode of the
General's time.
I don't know how to play air trumpet. I just make my fingers go and it doesn't quite work. I am glad we are up here and we are being consistent. There have been multiple times today that we could have said, you know what, we've got a bunch of things going on, but no, we're here and we are making it work, even if we have to be done in 45 minutes.
Yeah, so today's going to be a little brief. We definitely probably had a close call today, but we're still making it happen and we're not making excuses. I think that's the best thing, because I'm really good at just making excuses for like, we're just not going to do it today. But we can't break the streak.
No, the streak is alive. It is there. It is the power of Kismet. And who knows, maybe we'll just get lucky and towards the end of the stream when we do our giveaways today. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, well, real quick, because okay, so I'm gonna give away like not a random rare, but a rare like I did last week. Are we gonna do a second giveaway?
Yes, we're going to go ahead and do a giveaway. So you're going to have you decided what rare you're going to give away?
Oh, I'm gonna do like winner's choice.
Winner's choice. So you're going to give away winner's choice rare, and I am going to go with a legendary that I have in stock. So.
Oh wow.
Yes. So let's see what I have in stock, and we'll get that figured out here. That's inventory. Card manager.
Did you just sell everything except for your Comet Strikes? You're just gonna give away a Comet Strike, is what you're really saying.
I thought about that, but that's very mean. No.
Yeah.
Actually, well, because I've got a couple extra legendaries here that have come in just from like drafting, because I never pass a legendary in draft. Even if it's out of my shards, I'm not going to pass a legendary in draft. Alright, so let's get these out of the way, and let's get the epics out of the way. So let's see what we have. Let's see what we have the most of. So extra stock legendaries. Let's sort by quantity.
So you're saying stuff that you have.
So stuff I already have a playset
above your playset. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright,
Gotcha.
and let's see. And you know, we'll do a choice. Anything that I have more than 4 of, someone can pick one of.
So what are their
So
options?
what do we have? So it looks like we can do Cosmic Transmogrifier, Crown of Primals, a Pack Raptor, Resurrection, King Gabriel, a Zombie Plague, an Uranaz, Comet Strike. So those are the ones that'll be up for choice.
There's some good choices in there. That's a lot of fun stuff. Cool. Yeah, that'll be a good giveaway.
It's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. I mean, actually, I don't even know if I have an Uranaz. I don't think I do.
You want to enter this giveaway? You have plenty of shards for it. Yeah, because
actually, I don't even think I have an Uranaz now that I think about it.
Yeah, these 5 cards right here are the only ones that I don't have a full playset of.
Cool.
Mastery of Time, Angel of Dawn, Eye of Creation, Archmage, and Vampire King. So
right on.
These everything else, I've been able to keep a solid set of 4.
Sweet.
All right, so now that we are aligning our giveaways.
Yeah.
So on today's docket, we've got some fun stuff. So really fast overview. We'll do a quick bit about the rapid fire patches.
Yeah.
The big event coming up this weekend. Some of the stuff we're up to on the forums.
Mm-hmm.
An update on the budget challenge.
Yep.
A teaser for what we filmed this past weekend. And then I think we're good for giveaways and top pick. How's that sound, my friend?
That sounds pretty good. I'm gonna turn on my overhead light because my face is like super bright. I look like a ghost.
You don't. It's towards Halloween. Ooh, ghostly function.
All right, that should help out a little bit at least. Yeah.
See, that just shows your dedication, your lack of melanin in your skin. That's all. That's your dedication right there.
But yeah, so we got a little bit to talk about. It'll be probably a pretty quick episode. There hasn't been a whole lot of major news, but if we want to start off with what news there is, at least as far as patches and stuff goes, what do we have? There's been just a couple hot fixes fixing small bugs, odds and ends. They had to take the tournaments down for a little bit longer than they anticipated.
Yep.
But one of the things that they added was, I think we were talking about this last week, is they added like the nameplates to whatever phase it currently is.
Yep.
And that was something we were both saying would be nice to have. So that gives a little bit more clarity for everybody. I was going to say for new players, but even for everybody, it's always nice to have some extra clarity within the game, just to what's going on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They extended, I think, the booster draft tickets because the downtime was longer than expected. And on that note, I think they posted this on Twitter or on the forum somewhere. I didn't know that this was actually the policy, but apparently, like, this is their threshold currently, is that if downtime is longer than 8 hours, they extend any draft tickets,
which I
that are
think
going to
is
expire.
Reasonably fair, considering they are essentially a 24-hour service at this point.
Yeah, that's really generous. That's, they're giving a whole extra week for just 8 hours of downtime. I would have said, like, if it was down for 24 hours or something.
Yeah, I can, especially I think it's really coming down to when they like to cycle their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely see we're coming down the day before our tickets are supposed to set to expire. I can see then you're like, then that's only 2/3 of the day left, and it's during the time where our European players are on and we have a huge European contingent. I get it. It's good policy.
Yeah, no, I guess it is, because what if your ticket is going to expire the next day, like one day later, and then you were just planning on doing it that night? Yeah, I guess 8 hours is pretty fair now that I think about it, because it's pretty easy to conceive of a situation where that would screw somebody out of a draft ticket, and you don't want to screw people out of stuff. Although, I mean...
Yeah, especially because we're all the hardcore people at this point, sitting here in the closed beta. We want to keep all of us happy.
That's true.
So, but like, they've been doing rapid fire patches though. So since I'm on the AI right here, I can quickly just pull up the what they've been doing. So since the last time we filmed, they have done a patch on the 20th, the 21st, hotfix on the 21st as well. So they did a patch and then a hotfix. Second hotfix this morning as well. So that's 1, 2. They've done 4 essential 2 patches and 2 hotfixes in 4 days.
Yeah.
They're making up for doing nothing for a while.
Yeah. And you know what I would say? I don't know if this is just having the new Unity and stuff makes it easier for them to push out these small hotfixes that when they are able to squash bugs, they just get them out of the way and move on to the next thing, which is probably a pretty good way of doing stuff. It's just, crossing stuff off their list as fast as they can, at least for the small stuff, just get it out of the way and move on to the next thing. Yeah. And then that kind of keeps things more manageable while they're working on the larger things as well. So it's cool that they're being very proactive with stuff. So that I guess that's the best way to put it.
And I really think that puts in a light a lot of the stress that was on them for that Unity conversion that we were just not a part of as part of the community. They kind of kept that under a pretty good lock and key and just going, we're working on stuff. We're working on stuff. Which, now that we're seeing a little bit more rapid succession seems a bit more justifiable. Because let's be honest, as a community, we will find something to talk about.
Yeah.
And as a case in point on that, have you seen the I believe it was the pro player complaint forum thread that was out there?
I saw that one actually, and I was going to mention I was going to mention a thread similar to it, but not that specific one. I saw that one, and yeah, that wasn't just for pro players. It was for everybody. Actually, it was specifically not for pro players. It was for everybody else who pledged that tier that got 1 year of drafting.
Yeah.
Where they're complaining that their drafts, they wanted to get some set 2 drafts out of their first free year, and that free year was like a bonus to begin with. That was never initially in there. It was like extra incentive. But I mean, so I get where people are complaining about it, but I think the complaints aren't very warranted, because from the very get-go, they said you don't need to redeem this free year of drafts coupon, if that's what you want to call it. You can wait and redeem it. Like, there's people who haven't redeemed theirs yet. And just for clarification on what I just said is, for those people that got that Kickstarter tier, they got 2 codes to redeem. They got one for their account stuff.
Yep.
And they got a second code for just the year of drafting. And you can redeem your account stuff and keep the year drafting until set 2 came out.
Yep.
So if you were concerned about, you wanted to draft set 2 with that, I don't see why you wouldn't have just held on to it. Granted, sure.
Considering we had an awful lot of packs at every one of those 250 tiers.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, you could say, oh, well, I thought set 2 was going to be sooner, and I wanted to get a little bit of both. Yeah, sure, that's a valid argument. But at the end of the day, like, if you're getting these free drafts of set 1, you can still sell whatever cards you had and use those cards to pay for the set 2 draft, so it balances out either way. I think it's...
I do think that it's on a balance, but you have to be smart to be able to get the full value of that balance. Yeah. For instance, if you're trying to sell cards right now, you're going to get the lowest tier of value you will probably ever get for set 1 right now.
Yeah.
Even with the fresh 1,000 people that they just recently brought in, the demand is not significantly high for the volume that exists.
Yeah, and at some point, the demand for set 1 cards is going to increase once set 2 is out. Yep. And the key thing there is at some point. It's not going to be right when set 2 comes out. What it's going to be is once the player base has expanded significantly, and we've been drafting set 2 long enough that by opening 2 set 2 packs and 1 set 1 pack, like the influx of new set 1 cards is going to start decreasing, or it's going to start decelerating, I guess is a better way to put it. So, you'll see set 1 cards probably move up a little bit. I don't know how much. And then also as like different cards come to the forefront of new decks as the meta shifts with with set 2 out there, some set 1 cards are going to see a lot more play. And on the flip side, some of them are going to see less play, so they'll probably drop in price. But there's that. Yeah,
one thing definitely to mention on that. So once we start actually entering the block cycle format, we should see set 1 price stabilization occur. But that doesn't mean there's not going to be initial volatility once set 2 comes out.
Yeah.
I want to say this now. There is going to be set 2 volatility. Hands down. It is going to be there, and no one's going to be super happy about it. Unless, of course, you're selling on the high ends or buying on the low ends when they go. I mean, because it's cards like Zombie Plague went from $3 legendaries to now $6 to $7 legendaries, all based on the spoilers for set 2.
Yeah, so what else you'll see is you'll start seeing the staples, like the cards that once set 2 comes out and the meta starts becoming more established, the staples, especially the legendary ones of set 1, like whatever cards really build a foothold within the set 2 meta from set 1, you'll see those cards like spike in price and then stay there for quite a long time. Meanwhile, you'll see everything else probably drop a little bit. So.
Yep, it's definitely going to be different, but it's going to be the good different.
Yeah, exactly. But going over to like world's smallest violin type threads, which I would say that is the other thread. There was another thread along the same lines that I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous." There's somebody complaining that, or they were like asking for redemption tickets, or what was it? Reimbursement on their drafts and stuff for when the other player, so when their opponent bugged out and lost. So whenever they won personally, they wanted a reimbursement for their draft, and you can see the thread. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I don't know a nice expletive-free way to say it, but it doesn't deserve any more attention than I've already given it. I probably shouldn't even mention it because it's pretty silly.
Well, let's think about that for a sec. So we'll give it a minute. So the thought about that is should you receive a reimbursement for when your opponent is not able to provide you the play value that you were seeking?
Yeah.
Now that is an understandable request to toss out. I'm not going to say that that's an irresponsible request or anything along those lines. Because if you're really paying for your play value, then you have a claim. But you don't have a claim to a reimbursement because your claim is not on Hex Entertainment. Your claim is actually on the player in the setup in that case, because the player has the responsibility to attempt to keep everything going and to attempt to get in at time. And you would then have to prove that HexEnt was ultimately the one responsible for any particular failures. And that's to have and the reason I say that, and that's just to have an inkling of a reason for what's the best way to say this? And that's to
Okay.
have any inkling for there to be any form of redemption whatsoever. And that's not to defend it, because it's really
Yeah.
kind of an asshole thing to do. I will use
It
the
is.
expletive on that.
Yeah.
Because
So-
you have the benefit of your opponent not being able to complete due to a bug. And so
And you're getting
there's only
your
going to be
rewards.
one redemption done, and it's going to be the one who was the most negatively affected.
Yeah, so that's the exact way of putting it. This is why we can't have nice things type of situation. That's why I didn't want to bring any further attention to it, because I just don't want to see people taking advantage of what is a pretty generous reimbursement policy. But really, what it comes down to is you're saying that you're playing drafts not to win for the prizes, but for the entertainment value that they provide. And because your opponent bugged out, that you missed out on some of that entertainment. And I would say in some cases, sure, you know what? If that's the way you feel, then we can talk about it. But I feel like people were using that as an excuse, not genuinely feeling that way, but using it as an excuse to get the reimbursement. Because in this case, if you genuinely felt that way, you would drop the draft on the spot and then ask for your reimbursement. In this case, people were saying like, at the very beginning of the draft, there was a visual error and it caused them to mispick, but they went on and played the whole draft and won it, and they won a reimbursement. Like, at that point, if you're going to say the visual error at the beginning of the draft is warrants you getting a reimbursement, you should quit at the very beginning. You don't get to eat the entire cake and then ask for a refund.
Yeah, you don't get the cake with the icing and the birthday cakes and the cheers at the end and the buff of kismet to then go, oh, by the way, I need another slice of a different flavored cake.
Yeah, there's tons of analogies that people used in the thread and other ones I can think of, and all of them fail. Like this.
Yes,
yeah, this is just going to get me riled up, so we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, so we're on the base agreement. If you are playing for the love of a even and fair draft, and you are dissatisfied that the game forces you into a purely optimal position where you can't let something go, then you have to immediately act, and not immediately acting forfeits that right.
Yep, that's a good way of putting it.
So you'll have a case, and I will support you on the case, that if you have a draft, you take a screenshot of what the issue was, you put it into support, and immediately stop the draft. Mokog will support you for all the good that it does.
Yeah, but even then, like, people taking advantage of the reimbursement policy, which is going to happen, and I'm sure it's currently happening. Like,
there are much better excuses than that, though.
I can probably think of maybe 40 or so drafts where at some point along the line, I could have come up with a pseudo, or more than pseudo, legitimate reason to submit a reimbursement request. I think I've submitted reimbursement requests 2, maybe 3 times. Like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like, I think that's something people need to think about, is like, is this really legitimate? Or is there something that really ruined your experience? Did you lose out on some sort of value for it? All those kind of things. And then at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't have a lot of patience for that particularly.
That's a fantastic word, patience. I love that word.
Yeah.
But you know what we're going to need a lot of patience for coming up?
What's that?
The Weekend VIP tournament. Ow, ow.
Yeah. I think I'm working Friday and Saturday this weekend.
That means
and I missed
you're going to have to win the Sunday tournament then.
Well, that or I'm going to have to play late at night, because I think one of them, they're all on like Pacific time things. I think the one that's like Friday night I can play on too. And I have 2 tickets. They're also this time around it's going to be sealed, which is definitely nice, especially for the people who either don't have the funds or whatever other reasons might be barriers for them to build a constructed deck that's viable to win. Though they're going to have the chance to play a different format where it's more of a level playing field. With sealed, there's a little bit of luck involved with what you open, but a lot of times I see people say that, and I took down a sealed the other day. I got first place and I didn't play a single rare. So it just because you open bomb rares doesn't mean you're going to win. Just because
you still have to draw your bomb rares.
Yeah, and you just have to build well and play well. You have to look at the pool, and especially with just that one it's hard to open 6 packs and not have a pretty, decent 40 card deck. There's a lot of stuff out there. So the sealed format, we got somebody in here asking. It's pretty simple. It's actually really simple. It's probably the simplest of all of the 3 formats that are played competitively. All it is you enter, you open 6 packs worth of cards within the build of the tournament. You open 6 packs worth of cards, and then you use that to build a 40 card deck. You're given unlimited resources, as far as like the shards and stuff, of the basic ones. And then you use your, how many cards is that? That's 90 cards?
6 packs?
Yeah.
I have a handy dandy calculator because I've
cards.
Been ruined on simple math.
Yeah, you're building a 40 card deck out of 90 cards.
90.
Really only using like 23 of those cards because the rest are probably shards. So that's sealed, and then you play 4 rounds and see how you do. At least in the case of this VIP. So you're going to play 4 rounds, and if you at least win 2 of them, you're going to get some alternate arts, and those are worth quite a bit. It's pretty good value there.
Now, they haven't confirmed exactly which alternate arts yet, though, right? Did they say they were going to recycle the ones from the previous one?
I'm pretty sure, I would say above 99% sure that we're still using the previous month's alternate arts. I would imagine they might rotate like every 3 times or maybe every 2 times, something like that. But I know at least in this case they're doing a constructed and a sealed at the minimum for that pool of alternate arts. So if you didn't have a constructed deck, you still have a chance. So in this case with the sealed,
makes sense.
Since you're opening cards and it's randomly determined, nobody's entering with any predetermined cards like they are in constructed, where you can build your own deck and come in with it. They're at a level, everybody's at an even playing field before they open their packs, and honestly, you're even at a pretty even playing field after you open your packs because the stuff I was just saying. So
yeah, one of the things I definitely like about sealed is it's almost like everyone is a brand new player at the start. It's all about how you think and how you build. So it's extremely close to the most even level playing field for every skill level. And the reason I say that is because drafting, you do have to get used to drafting. You have to learn how to do your picks well, how to do a couple types of reads, have a greater familiarity with the cards. But I think if you came in with the sealed and you understand TCGs, you understand strategy, you can read a card and tell what's good and what's not good. Sealed gives you that opportunity to go, I may know very little and I may not be the most prepared, but I know this stuff is awesome and I see these great things I can do.
Yeah, I would say don't get too ambitious. Don't get baited too hard by rares or legendaries where, like, maybe you have a blood, maybe you have a Vampire King, but the rest of your blood is absolutely garbage. Like, literally, blood is your weakest color besides the Vampire King. Well, then you might not want to play it. Like, that's
and then you
totally fine.
And you get no Shards of Fate, and you can't go 3 color, but you really want to go 3 color.
Yeah, it's totally fine to not play, your bomb, or sometimes you just got to stick with it. It's a lot of sealed and draft, and for the most part, I would say something that a lot of people as they're new need to keep in mind is what is your deck going to be weak against. If you're going to be weak against flyers, well, you might want to bring in a couple copies of Turbulence in your main deck, or you might want to save your removal for the cards that are actually going to be problematic for you, or any number of things. But keeping in mind what your deck is going to be weak against, especially in the case of the Lionel Flynn deck, which we've talked about a lot lately, is if you're going to have trouble against basically unblockable guys, well, maybe consider playing Bertram Cragraven, because it turns out those work bots trade with almost all of the good cards in the Lionel deck. So it's just something for people to consider, and the sealed should be a lot of fun.
Now, do you think we might be able to get a weekly brainstorm about sealed at some point here in a few weeks or so? Maybe...
Actually, that might not be bad. Well, talking about the brainstorms, I've kind of been a slacker. I think part of it is I wouldn't say I bit off more than I can chew. That's definitely not the case with the dungeons. It was biting off quite a bit. Really, the reason I haven't made the other posts is just there was so little interest in that first post I made for the dungeons that it's hard for me to get remotivated to make the second and third post for it. That's just a personal thing I always have a hard time with. Is it seems like if there's not enough interest in something, that I would rather just spend my time on something else where it feels like there is more interest in it.
Yeah.
but sometimes you just have to power through it, and I think that's just something I need to keep telling myself. So, I gotta just encourage myself enough to get these brainstorms back on track, and we can start doing them. But
Eat your
one for
Wheaties,
sealed,
do it right.
yeah. Doing a brainstorm for sealed would be fun. I can think of a couple ways. Like I could just open 6 packs and say, "Hey, submit a list," and we'll pick it from there. That would actually be a lot of fun.
All right.
Like,
so here's what we could do. So you do the brainstorm, you get the lists. Now we're both pretty close to being able to do full play sets. So ideally, we should be able to mimic. Yeah. So we'll take different lists, and then we could do a video of one versus the other, and we can do a little mini tournament. And and like if we wanted to, we can maybe see if any of the other community members want to get in. Anyone else who kind of signs up, if they go, or like for instance, if you submit a list and you go, and I have every card for this, we can do the games.
Okay. I think the best way to do that, like actually that's a really good idea. So what it would be is you would have everybody submit the lists, and then you would figure out how many community members were interested in playing in this like little brainstorm jank tournament. And the idea here is that you just have a list of lists, a list of the deck lists that people submitted, and you just randomly assign, like really literally randomly assign a list to each of the community people playing them, and then use that. So you don't get to choose what deck you're using. You just have to use something that somebody submitted in the brainstorm, and hopefully, if there's some that are absolutely awful, we can weed them out or something. But that would be fun to do.
No weed out. They get to choose the reserves, and that's it. So they get the main list, but the person who's playing it can choose the reserves from what's left.
I don't know, because then you can completely change the deck to whatever you wanted in the next round.
Well, but that's the beautiful part of sealed, though. You do get the ability to change the deck if you can do it within 2 minutes.
If you can do it within 2 minutes, okay, that might be a little bit more fair. You could have like a little clock, because you'd still have to do it within like the proving grounds and stuff. So it'd be hard. But trying to see somebody do it within 2 minutes, and like really hold themselves honest that if they didn't do it, they had to play whatever they currently had in the deck list, or doing weird nonsense like that. That might be pretty interesting. Yeah,
I'm just saying it would be fun.
Yeah, I think we can try something like that. All right, maybe.
I've sold you.
Yeah, you definitely sold me. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to continue this dungeon thing. If that's just derailed me so much that I should scrap it, or something. Maybe we can revisit it and try to do the dungeon thing again later when there's more interest in it. That might be the best bet. But this sealed idea you just pitched me, you sold me for sure. We can figure out how to do that.
And especially because now if we keep our weekends fairly open, we can at least do recording on that time, and then we'll put the games up.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we got. Oh.
Go for it. It's fine. I was just thinking of branding names.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so we have something fun to talk about there. Well, but before we do, we might as well cross off the next thing on our show notes is the budget challenge.
Yes.
And because that's kind of related. Well, why don't you go first? Do you have any updates on the budget challenge?
So I am prepared to do the next draft, thankfully.
Okay.
I've got the way I did my recordings for the previous one. I made sure that anything that was done in the background for music-wise was YouTube friendly. So that's no longer an issue.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And that made me feel terrible when I was actually doing those, because the last thing you want to do is to put in all the hard work and then suddenly your channel gets flagged for like 5 different songs that's in there. And that's what will happen if you try to take things that have been randomly selected or anything that's really popular and put it up on YouTube. You get flagged, and then you're tangling with record labels who are powerful enough to hound YouTube. So this draft that you're saying you're getting ready to do, what number draft will this be for you? This will actually be the second draft.
I thought you've already done 2.
I've done the 2. So the third draft is going to be another competitive. That's ready to go now. I've got the packs. I've got the platinum. It's ready to go. That's
what I was asking. You're ready to do another.
Yeah, we're ready to do the third, and maybe if we win, we'll be able to sell the stuff from there to be able to go on to a 4th draft. But we would have to come in second or win to be able to do that.
Oh, Hacky and Desk were just pointing something out with what we were talking about with the sealed thing, is with mailing and stuff, you don't even necessarily have to have all the cards in your stuff, so long as, you gave them back to whoever you borrowed them from and stuff.
That's very true.
Yeah, it's easy enough to trade stuff now. But going over to my budget challenge, my second draft, I just actually uploaded to YouTube last night. Here, let me, I'll post the link in chat. That's my, if anybody's interested in watching it, if they missed me streaming it, that was my second draft, and I did a competitive draft with that one. I needed to do a Swiss, but there was nobody interested in playing Swiss that night, so I just hopped in a competitive, and I kind of got, well, I baited myself a little bit. You can watch the draft and see how it turned out. There's definitely some lessons to be learned in there, and yeah, you know, I'm not afraid to post the videos when I don't do so well. Although it seems like I'm recording more often when I'm scrubbing out, maybe I should say. And I think that's probably because I don't play quite as well when I'm recording.
Do you feel the pressure?
No, it's just I get distracted easily. That's really what it is.
Just kind of one of those squirrel moments.
Yeah, I have a really short attention span, and then when I get distracted, like actually that's probably my weakest point when I'm playing, is I get distracted easily, and then I'll make a misplay, and then I'll put myself on tilt because that misplay, because I'm like way too critical about making misplays on myself. And then since I'm so fixated on that, I'll make another misplay, or I'll accidentally pass priority or something like that, and then I'll kind of snowball into a full tilt, just wrecking myself mode. And I'm starting to get better about that. Actually, I've gotten a lot better about that, like dramatically so. But it still happens from time to time. It happened a little bit to me the other night, and I was able to salvage it. And that's kind of where I'm starting to get better, is like coming back from that sort of tilt. I think that's probably actually something that might be worth talking about in another week or so, is just talking about, you know, tilt for new players, if that's something that they have experienced, and how to kind of rectify some of that. But yeah. But so I just posted the second video, and I was actually compressing the third draft, which I did was a Swiss one, and that one was a lot of fun. I played a 5-color deck and went to the finals. Well, I would say the finals of Swiss. I basically won all the games, or won all the rounds until until the last one. So it's the same as, you know, the finals equivalent, I would say. And I did pretty well in that one. It was a lot of fun. And I played against one of my teammates in the finals, so that was cool too. But what else are we going to say? So that's that. We'll probably start recording some more soon now that we have tournaments back up and running and everything. It's a little bit easier to get them going. Actually, we both need to focus on some of the non-draft achievements in there.
Yes, because I've got my games recorded. I've won 4 games in Proving Grounds so far. Yay, being a Lobby! I've also got my face stomped in periodically when there's been low volume doing it too. Yeah, sometimes when the Vampire King hits you in the face, it's just not pleasant.
Yeah, Desk is in here saying that's a good topic, talking about tilting and stuff. And we are kind of on a time crunch tonight. We just we were trying to squeeze the episode in, so we still made it happen. And that's something I could probably talk about for like 15 minutes or so. So maybe it even warrants just making a video talking about it. But I have really good advice. And the number one piece of advice I would probably say is, like, if you catch yourself on tilt, go like stand up. Like, this is especially true since it's a digital game. You're not sitting down at a table playing with somebody. This is a nice difference, is just go get a glass of water. Like, just go stretch for a second.
Remember, you got 5 minutes. Take it.
Yeah.
That's actually tournament. There's a big stigma in physical TCG tournaments that you have to stay in your little zone. There's only so much that you can do, and really, very rarely, will judges sometimes let you in high competitive play, let you get up out of your chair when you feel that something's kind of wrong, and it also sends bad signals as well that something may be wrong.
Yeah, that, and like, even if you just had to go use the bathroom in the middle of a thing, like, I don't know, in a paper tournament, just because everybody at some point has been really screwed over by something their opponent did that they shouldn't have done. That's probably the nicest way to put it, is getting up, like, you know, your opponent could look at the top card of your deck or do some other kind of stuff very easily without anybody else seeing. Unless you, like, ask the judge to come over and watch the table while you're gone, which is actually what you should do if you were going to get up. But, you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't, just because they didn't want to be taboo about it, and they didn't want to slow things down even further. But that's a nice thing that we don't have to worry about.
Yes, so if you feel as though there's something, like, you don't have a mic on and you're not streaming, Foos Ro Da your pressures away.
Yeah. So I mean, tilt is definitely an issue for me. Like that's usually like I'm my own worst enemy, I would say, in a lot of cases. When I'm in the zone and I'm just playing really well, I feel like most of the time there's no way I can lose. Like I can predict everything really well. I have the potential to be a really good TCG player. But then also I'll put myself on tilt really easily for small misplays that usually don't even matter. It's just like I could have eked out such a small marginal more value by doing something slightly differently. But because I notice that, like,
it gets you a little bit.
Yeah. So tilt's an issue for me. Do you have problems with tilt at all?
What I tend to find that if I start feeling a little bit tilted, what it actually ends up being is, somewhere in my mind, I think I've already thrown it when I really haven't, which is, I guess, is another way to describe tilting. And I think what I have to remember is I don't know exactly what's in my opponent's hand, even though I know the exact thing that will destroy me immediately. And I have a tendency to make assumptions on what my opponent's able to do, which works really well. That if you think your opponent always knows exactly how to beat you, and you counteract how they would be able to exactly beat you, and that comes into your deck building and into your counterplay, that has a value. It's just not always the best value in the world.
Yeah, Hacky was saying one in here, like using your 5-minute timer, like it's there, use it. It's your clock, since you're only ever playing on your own time rather than your opponent's kind of thing with having a chess clock. Like, if you need to go step away, try to do it before the match, and even if it's going to run into like the first couple minutes of the round, at least you didn't affect gameplay, because at least, and this isn't even just from a being polite thing, which is also something to keep in mind, but it's something, like, if you're in the zone and then you have to step away and use the restroom, well, when you come back, you might have lost some of your focus. So, yeah.
So, but that's one of the things we'll definitely, we both know we can delve into that psychological side to the play.
Yeah, I think that's a really good topic for us to talk about, especially because kind of like what you were just saying. I didn't mean to interrupt there.
All right.
I think I realized I did. But what you were just saying was, like, it touches on something that everybody experiences tilt in kind of their own way. Some people, like, when they're really far behind, they just give up, even though they might still have outs. In my case, I'm kind of hypercritical about myself. Other people, if somebody says something in chat that, rubs them the wrong way, it'll make them rage or something like that. Everybody has their own little version of it, and I think that's something we can talk about. But why don't we... So we were talking about the budget challenge. We'll get back on track here. And the other fun thing we have to talk about is, we were talking about this last week, of kind of doing a retrospective on set 1 and then moving on from that and doing some set 2 spoiler talk. And you and I actually took some time this past weekend on Sunday to record our retrospective. We recorded the entire thing. We're currently editing it, and hopefully I'll have it ready on Friday to post. So I would say keep an eye out on both of our Twitter feeds. We'll probably link it on each of our Twitters or something when we're ready for that. And we'll probably post it on the general forums too, or on the fan site forums, because we might as well. But yeah, we did a little... And
it's going to go everywhere.
Yeah, we really talked about a lot. It was a really fun video to record. And since we talked about so much, it did go kind of long. I think it probably ended up being just under an hour and a half.
Yeah, Raw was 100 or not 100, but an hour and 31 minutes was the raw footage.
Yeah, and I think we'll cut it down. I'll be able to cut it down a little bit, but it's always kind of harder to cut down video than it is just straight audio. Like audio, I'm pretty good at editing audio. It's really easy for me to cut it down and make it pretty seamless. But when you have the video in there too, like with cameras and all that other kind of stuff, usually just kind of less editing is the better. So
yeah, so we're going to do our best to make it as awesome as we know it can be. And so far, Eternal Guardian is not bugged. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I can hit my opponent.
Hacky was pointing something out here. Psychological gameplay. The sleepier you are, the worse you're gonna play. That's definitely true.
That's so true.
It is proven by the video I just uploaded. You know, everything else aside, because I didn't play particularly well, but the main reason I didn't is, man, I was exhausted when I recorded that video. I think it was like 2 a.m. and I just worked 11 hours. Come home and all I wanted to do was draft. But since it was a perfect storm of things gone wrong because I was tired. Streaming and recording it was just like big enough distraction to even make it worse, kind of thing. Like if I'm wide awake and I'm in the zone and all that kind of stuff, and I've been, doing everything, I've been eating well that day. Yeah, I can totally draft. But if it's 2 a.m. and I'm tired, not gonna work so well. Where you post these? You talking about the videos and stuff, Admonished? Well, here, I'll link it again one more time in chat. That's my most recent video on my YouTube, and I have my YouTube. Mokog has his, and we're talking about doing some fun stuff in that soon, but I don't think we're quite ready to announce any of it because we haven't figured out exactly how it's going to take place. But so we're trying. I guess the best way to put it is we are trying to find ways to improve our YouTube that works best not only for us but for you guys as well.
Yes.
And we have a very good way of doing it. We just have to figure out what the execution of it was going to be.
Yes. So it's there's more to come. There are going to be changes, and there are going to be positive, and we're going to work to take our game to the next level because, to be honest, if we want to make everyone who watches us, favorites and to come in and spend their time with us and chill with us, then we need to be good for everyone. We need to be good hosts, and we're making ourselves better hosts. That's the way I like to think about it. So now, we should probably go ahead and start a giveaway, right?
We should start the giveaway because the clock is ticking more or less. And speaking of being good hosts, everybody can. Yeah, why don't we start the giveaway?
Okay, so let's go ahead and get a quick description of the giveaway. So we're going to do two giveaways. We're going to repeat one from last week. Last week that went really well is the Choose Your Own Rare, supported by Function. So we're going to do that one. Now, in addition to that, we're going to do a choose from my extra legendaries as well. So that everyone has an understanding of kind of what is going to be available. Any rare in the set, if you win the random rare giveaway, will be up for grabs.
Yep, winner's choice.
Then we're going to have winner's choice on my extra legendaries. And y'all need to see what that is because you're going to need to know how to spend all your shards.
Yeah,
it's 5 shards per entry, multiple entries. We had a lot of people dump their shards last time because they wanted to make sure they got whatever they needed from Function. What did our people get last time from you?
I'm trying to remember the name. It was Balsworth or something.
Yeah,
like
Balsworth.
that.
He's in the channel. He's definitely a regular.
And I'm pretty sure he chose Relentless Corruption, which was a really good choice.
That's definitely a good choice. So,
and that's a card that's only ever going to get better.
So the stuff that we have up for the legendary is we have up Cosmic Transmogrifier, Crown of the Primals, Pack Raptor, Resurrection, King Gabriel, Zombie Plague, Uranaz, and Comet Strike. So the winner of the legendary giveaway will get to choose from one of those.
Yeah, so you got a bunch of good ones in there. I think like I was saying, my choice would probably just be Uranaz because I don't think I actually have an Uranaz, so I'm gonna have to go.
Uranaz is fun. Oh my god, I love Uranaz. I use that sucker in my Gravedigger decks all the time.
So did you open up the giveaway?
Well, so we're now going to open it up. Do we want to do yours first, or do we want to do legendary first?
Why don't we do mine first?
All right, so let us begin the enabling. So we want to make sure we have this one right here. Alrighty, and it is now live.
All right, so you can just do give me that rare and enter the giveaway, and this is my giveaway, and we'll talk about it more after we figure out who the winner is.
Yep.
But we were talking about kind of taking our stuff to the next level. We're trying to do our thing, doing big things over here, and part of that is everybody. What was that maniacal laugh?
That was we're doing big things.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so
I shall tap and bring in my Argus.
What was I saying?
Sorry.
Oh, but then, folks in the audience, if you watch one of our YouTube videos or you're on the General's Tent or any that kind of stuff, or, follow us on Twitter or give us a thumbs up on the YouTube video or give us a follow on the General's Tent channel for Mokog's channel. And, all those things, they help us be like, yeah, people appreciate us. We're doing awesome stuff. Or in this case, even just tuning in when we're doing it. That's
emotional support is very important.
Yeah, no. I mean, that kind of goes with what I was saying about the brainstorm is, people might have been really interested in that one, but since I was seeing so little, like what I was seeing, able to quantify as far as interest went, just made it feel like my time wasn't worth it, that I had other things that I could better spend my time on. So,
well, I know one thing we're both interested in. Shall we open it up and do a first pick and pack review?
Hell yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
let's pop this sucker open. Alright, we'll give it a few minutes to load so that everyone can check it out and see. I will say it does look like we have a rare. Oh my! Oh my. You're going to appreciate this one.
You were just typing it wrong at first, admonished, but it looks like it's got you now.
Yeah, it's got you now.
Wait, so people can enter multiple times, right?
Yes, you can enter multiple times.
Do they just put a number after give me that rare? Is that what
I believe you actually have to do it. You have to type it out multiple times. So Control C, Control V that sucker.
Oh, much hype. This pack. Yes.
Oh my god, this pack is amazing. Oh shit, this pack
actually
is
this pack is really good.
It's about time we had a really about time we had a really great pack. Wow.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about this. How much time do we have? We don't have that much time.
We don't have much time, but we'll talk about it in the time we do have, because we need to let each giveaway run for like 3 or 4 minutes. So you want to start things off?
Yes. So the standout to start with happens to be Wrathwood Colossus. Sometimes it's an underdog rare. Sometimes it's a beat your face in Club of Amazing. But it's competing with some really great cards.
Yeah, it's competing with some really stellar stuff.
So it's got All-Star Removal with Repel that it's competing against.
Probably the best removal card.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely All-Star Removal right here. And then it's got All-Star Tempo Buccaneer. Then you have great standbys like Giant Corpse Flies, first pickable depending on your pack. You have Terrible Transfer, which can be so swingy even in draft format.
Yeah, honestly, I think I overvalue Terrible Transfer. I really, really like it. It's hard for me to justify first picking it, but I have first picked it once or twice. It's easy. One thing about Terrible Transfer is you can usually tell whether or not it's going to be a really good card for you or a really bad card for you once you've got your entire deck. Or even further on, because you're able to tell like how deep in blood am I? Can I just ditch these ones that I already played and kind of take them out of my card pool? So that's something to do with Terrible Transfers. Just because you picked them up doesn't mean you need to play them, but they have so much upside.
Yeah, it really does. And then you've still got good standbys like Honeycap is sitting in here. If you end up drafting a mono wild deck, which it's possible that Honeycap could wheel if you happen to take the Wrathwood.
Yeah.
Because if you're going with that Wrathwood, it doesn't necessarily force you into mono wild. It just really suggests it hard. And then you got Wild Growth in here. Oh, it's such a good pack for Wild. And it's got some Dwarf Love going on here with Technical Genius.
Yeah, but Technical Genius is probably like...
He's more constructed. I granted that because
I don't even know about that. Like maybe he's going to start showing his face more in some sort of constructed deck. If there was like a nice combo deck they really need to play, like dump their hand really fast kind of thing.
You mean when you can start playing all of those new bots and charge bots and stuff for reduced cost, and then be able to start producing more bots, and then all of a sudden you end up with like a turn 2 Tarot bot? Yeah, I'm sure it's highly possible.
I had turn 3 Tarot bot the other day. That felt pretty good.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you... The fun thing about this pack is it looks like you could force like 3 different decks if you wanted to try. Which you don't necessarily want to try to force a deck, but it's nice to start seeing that you have the multiple pathways here. So you're telling me I gotta pick one of these? I'm glad I get to keep the whole thing at the end of it. I'm going to go with the Wrathwood, hands down.
Yeah.
It's a good card. It's a rare. It's valuable. It's an alternate art for a reason, because it's cool, and I like the art on it. I even like the art on this guy.
The thing with Wrathwood and Draft is it's pretty expensive. It's what, like 9 resources or something? That's a lot.
It is. It's high up there.
That's a real lot. It's hard to pull that off, but it has such an upside. Like if you land it, which games of Hex in Draft tend to go pretty long. Like they can go really long. And why don't we close the giveaway in just a second or two here? But yeah, you know, Draft, you'll find a lot of games have the potential to go pretty long. So as long as your deck isn't going to lose in the first 5 turns or so, you're probably having a pretty decent chance of playing that Colossus. You probably want to go playing ahead and play 18 shards if you're going to, or you want to have some extra card draw so that you kind of filter into those resources as you need them. But yeah, he's quite good.
I got button click happy here. Are we ready to do our pick?
Are we
ready to do to pick the winner?
Yeah. Oh, let me say one more thing about Wrathwood real quick.
Okay.
While it's on my mind, is when you're thinking about bombs, especially ones that have a very high resource cost, like Wrathwood, is they need to have an effect immediately when they hit the board if you're going to invest that many resources into it. And he definitely does. Like, gaining you that much life is huge.
Yeah.
So
super swingy. All right. Going now. Bam. All right.
Admonish. He was saying
Yay!
he had trouble entering, so you know, congrats to Admonished. So in this case, that is my giveaway that you just won, and this means that you can pick any rare. So not legendaries, but any rare. I will mail you a copy of it. Tell me what it is, or you know, you might as well say it in chat right now if you can make up your mind. But please, please, please send me a message on Twitch. I'll even send me a message. Send me a direct message on Twitch saying what your in-game name is and what card you want, because I'm probably not going to be able to mail it out immediately. I have to run out, and we're doing board game night tonight. So when I get home from that, I will send it to you. But think about what your card is that you want. I have both Hop Hero. Actually, I don't even know if I have any Mushwalkies, but it doesn't matter what I have. I'll send you whatever rare you want. So yeah, if you're working on your Shin Hair deck, I will send you whichever one you choose. And Mokog, why don't you start your giveaway? Actually, yes. Admonished, if you want a Hop Hero or a Mushwalkie, I'll send you one of each, because in this case, you're not choosing something like Living Totem or Mirror Knight, which might be more expensive. I'll send you, I'll send you one of each if that's what you're wanting.
All right, so hopefully this will work. So this is for a legendary card if you're choosing from my extra legendaries. And that begins now. Yep, so remember, it's going to cost you 5 shards still. You can do multiple entries. So if you saw something in that legendary pool that you liked from before, like, I don't know, that zombie plague, save yourself a little bit of time and energy there. My personal pick would be the zombie plague.
Well, the zombie plague is one I drafted in my very first budget challenge draft. So I didn't even say about the budget challenge, but mine's still going pretty strong. I think I have 600 platinum and 2 packs. I actually pulled an Eye of Creation in my 3rd draft, so I could probably sell that for a decent amount of platinum again.
I want your Eye of Creation. I don't know what I'll trade for. I'll trade you an Urnaz for your Eye of Creation. Unless someone picks my Urnaz. So whatever's left, I could use another Eye. That's one of the cards I need. So close to completing my playset. Alright, so while that's going, let's roll a chest. So if y'all follow us on Twitter or have been paying attention to us a little bit, at least on our social media postings, you might have heard about this thing that we're calling the buff of Kismet. Alucard likes to call it Aluluck, but I think that's because of when he chooses that he wants to roll on his chests. So here's the theory. The theory is that when you participate in an event, and depending on how well you do in the event, you get a series of little buffs to the randomizer on the Well of Fate. So if you participate, you get a little buff. If you win, you get a slightly bigger buff. If it's beyond a standard tournament, I think you get a slightly bigger buff, and I think if you open 10 packs, you also get a buff.
So we're saying there's a bunch of hidden triggers that might
Yes.
trigger you getting a your Kismet buff.
Yep.
I
think it's for a certain number of rolls, and it seems to be about 5 rolls or so that I've seen it seem to be fluctuated and kind of elevated.
Sure.
And it's not like it's super high. I think it takes it from like it being the current percentages to maybe 5 or 10 points higher on your percentage rate.
Yeah.
So
if we had to, I think we really should point out here, just for anybody tuning in who's brand new, is this all more or less is conjecture,
theory.
though?
Yes, this is theory. It is not proven.
Yeah. So this is just all guesswork here.
Yes.
But I think if I had to chime in on the Kismet buff, my feeling is it's only when you win. I know there's these other circumstances where we've seen it seem like it triggered,
Mm-hmm.
but
well, and that's what's really hard is it's hard to know when you're in the good and when you're not. What I've noticed is that since we've done a lot of random rolls here doing the General's Tent, and especially over the last few weeks, we've had one instance so far where we've hit a win followed by a decent follow-up win, which I will say it's very streaky when it happens. So you like hit one streak and you're more than likely to hit a couple in a row.
Yeah.
Which also to me implies that happens to be some sort of boosting effect when you do hit certain things. And it's not always big. It's sometimes like, oh, you hit 500 gold. Okay, well, you used part of your buff. Sorry. That's
one thing that we haven't touched on with this Kismet buff is if it does turn out that the Kismet buff really is real, that when you win a tournament, I'll specifically say when you win a tournament because that's when I think it is, but I'm still entertaining the idea that there might be other triggers to it. I'm not ruling those out completely, but if the Kismet buff turns out to be real, then if you're gonna roll like your primal packs or whatever?
Oh yeah, like your primal chests or your rare chests.
If you're trying to get an upgrade, then you should roll when you have the buff, your more expensive ones.
Ideally.
Perhaps. Yeah.
So, but the thing is I think what it is here's my thought, and this is my conspiracy theory thought on this. We could be totally full of it, and Neo might be right. It's called coincidence. Yes, that's true, Neo. It could definitely be called coincidence. But you know what? Kismet.
Look at what you've done to me, Mokog. Look at what you've created a monster. Like, I remember the first time you mentioned this, I was like, no, this is total BS. And see, even now actually, see Neo, the tables are going to turn. Now that I've bought onto it, at least somewhat, pretty soon you're going to be buying into it too, Neo.
Well, and I think a lot of what it ends up happening is there's differences in when you pay attention, and it's very easy to align the human mind to either or, for the good and for bad of the argument. Like, for instance, if the only times I ever really roll on chests happen to be after tournaments, then yes, I start associating that to when it occurs. Yeah. And that's highly possible, except since we've been doing the General's Tent, I very rarely roll after tournaments so that I have something to roll here. So when I do roll after tournaments now, which now becomes very rarely. I roll after events, like the big events. I rolled after the VIP. I rolled after the 128s when they did those pushes out. And I'll be honest, when both of those occurred, I had really great Kismet days. But I've rolled after other tournaments where I got 500 gold, and I got laughed at with a lightning elemental.
Speaking of crazy luck, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet. So I was drafting the other night, and I did pretty well for myself. I had a pretty bonkers deck, and even before the draft started, I was like, "Oh man, this feels like a first place deck." And it turned out it was a first place deck. I haven't gotten a primal pack from prizes in quite a while. I think I've only gotten like one since June.
If you've been paying attention, I hate to interrupt, but if you've been paying attention to stream, like I'm totally destroying the Kismet theory right now.
Oh, I wasn't even looking at the screen there for a second. But yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing really well on my rolls suddenly. Like,
so, but going back to it real quick, is I was saying I hadn't seen a whole lot of primals. I was wondering if they like changed the drop rate or something. And when it's something that procs so infrequently, you're gonna just not see them for a while. Like a bad string of luck is pretty common because it's not really you're gonna have bad strings more often than you think, kind of things, or however you might word it. But anyhow, I hadn't seen one for a while, and I got one about a month ago. So I've only up until last night I had only gotten one since about June or so, and then last night or the night before I think it was, I got two.
Nice.
Two from the same draft. So I won the draft, and then in the prize screen, I almost jumped out of my seat because I got in addition to the 5 packs, I got
so you had two
primals.
primal pack triggers from the prizes of the same draft.
Of the same draft, yeah.
Nice. There's no other way. All right, so do you think we're good here?
I think we're good.
All right.
We can do the drawing.
All right, so we're now going to draw. So just to reiterate, because it's still open, we have the possibility of your choice of a Cosmic Transmogrifier, a Crown of the Primals, a Pack Raptor, or a Resurrection, a King Gabriel, a Zombie Plague, an Uranus, or a Comet Strike. You'll get to choose from one of those for this prize.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there, so I'm sure whoever wins is going to be a pretty lucky guy.
Alright, so we are now closing that entry. We've got quite a few entries on this one. I see a couple people have been saving up their shards. That is a good idea. Alright, you ready for this? I'm ready for this. Let's go ahead and
I'm ready for this, yeah.
Bam! Desk! You are in the channel often and you do your thing, my friend.
And he's always participating in chat too, which is awesome.
So Desk, you win. You need to tell me what you want.
Oh yeah. Pick out your card then. But so that pretty much wraps things up. We can kind of wind down as as he's picking out his card. It was kind of a shorter stream tonight, but that was just because we started late, and we're lucky enough that we even did have one tonight because we just had stuff going on. But with all that said, I would say for folks out there, definitely stay tuned to our Twitter pages, especially because we should have some exciting stuff to share soon, because we're like I said, we're trying to improve our YouTube channels, and we have some really good ways in mind of what we're going to do. We just haven't figured the exact logistical details of how it's going to work.
Yep.
But hopefully if it works the way we want, I wouldn't say it should be a pretty big deal, because by some people's standards it might not be. It's pretty minor, really, but for me it's a pretty big deal. I mean, it would be a lot of improvement to our stuff, and I think it would make everything easier to watch, and it would just make everything easier to put together too. So
we're working on it.
We're working on it.
All right, so
I'm excited.
Desk, you're going to be getting that Zombie Plague sent to your in-game name after the stream is done, and Admonished, you should be getting your Hop Hero, and you're also throwing in the Mushwaki as well for him, right?
Yep, I'm gonna send him a Mushwaki and a Hop Hero.
Nice.
Since he was at least generous enough on my wallet to not have to go find a Mirror Knight or something. Although actually I pulled a couple the other day in draft again, so I've got enough of those. But I can spare one of each. That's no problem, and I'll help him out. I would imagine he's probably building a Shinhair deck and building something fun to play, and those will fit well into that kind of deck. So
grats on everyone. We'll be getting those out here shortly. Remember that to follow this channel as well as Function's channel. Follow us both of our YouTube channels. Also be sure that you follow us on Twitter. I think it spammed a couple times in the chat while we were going, but remember, HexHunter Mokog, that's on YouTube as well as here on Twitch. Funktionfails as well as YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter for actually all three of us, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So, but thanks for stopping by. Y'all are freaking awesome.
Yep. But everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. We got Hacky and Neo in the channel. I don't know if they're planning to be streaming in the next couple hours or anything. I don't think Hacky does on Wednesday nights. I think he's Thursday. I can't remember. I'm blanking out. But you should definitely follow those guys if they're streaming sometime soon.
Yes, in
They're
fact,
fun to watch.
I even think down below we have links to Hacky's channel as well as Neo's as well. Which,
nice.
If you are a streamer and I follow you and I am just lazy, you need to send me a message with your info, and I will get you down in the fellow streamers thing down there. So
yeah, Hacky's saying Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
So if you're a streamer and you would like a little bit of a community stream love, which that sounds terribly dirty now that I think about that. But if you would like if you have a stream and you're doing the good fight and all that good stuff, send me a message and we'll get you down there in that fellow streamers section.
Hell yeah. Alrighty, guys. But yeah, this was definitely a good time tonight, and we will be seeing you around.
All right. You have good games, good times, and
less fail, more function.
sweet.